Dr. Victor Yamo, Farming Campaigns Manager, World Animal Protection Africa Office. Today we launched the Pecking Order Report that ranks the 8 big global fast food restaurants around the commitments they've made to for animal welfare, the objectives and activities they've set around animal welfare, and how they're reporting the performance of that animal welfare. Essentially, what the report shows is that commitments are coming, but they're not coming as fast as we would want them to, basically because there could be other things that we need to look at, especially now that globally we are coming from the COVID-19 pandemic situation. Number 2, it shows that performance is there, but global organizations are not reporting performance at the level that we expect them to do. Essentially, what is happening is that at the source market where the headquarters of the organization is, there's some level of reporting, but the franchises in Africa are not reporting, and that has given us certain challenges in identifying the situation on the ground. Thirdly, there's attempts at ensuring that certain animal welfare activities are undertaken. And so far, we've seen organizations like KFC and Subway who are undertaking activities both internationally and locally and driving that agenda to certain levels. Essentially, what we are trying to say is that we've started by ranking the 8 big fast food restaurants. We are hoping to expand the ranking into retailers, supermarkets, and producers in the coming years. But the idea is to raise awareness amongst the consumers so that consumers understand that there are aspects around for animal welfare that they need to ensure that the retailer or fast food restaurant that they are working with is able to manage and is reporting adequately about. This is critical because ultimately what happens is that the consumer then is able to push the retail outlet or the fast food restaurant for them to be able to push the producer to do the right thing, which ultimately then ensures that the animal has a very good welfare in its production, and that then drives matters relating to food safety, matters relating to livelihoods, and matters relating to productivity of the animal, which are all critical and something that as an organization we want to drive. Thank you very much. Essentially, the report looks at the 8 big brands, and in the African context, we are looking at KFC, we are looking at Burger King, we are looking at Domino's, we are also looking at Pizza Hut and Subway. In the report, you find that Pizza Hut and KFC have a score, which is because internationally, the international office has developed an animal welfare policy and made commitments that is supposed to also drive the African business. Burger King, Domino's, and Subway do not have scores because internationally, one, we are not clear whether the international policy or commitment covers the Africa operations, but also they are not reporting when we went to the internet to find whether there's any reports or their website or their annual reports, we could not find any report. So essentially we are saying that there are reports for KFC and Pizza Hut, but at the Africa level, that implementation is still a challenge. So we are saying that consumers need to then drive that process by ensuring that they ask their supplier or their preferred restaurant to ensure that the restaurant is making commitments, and then beyond making commitments that the restaurant is actually implementing, and that implementation is being reported. The requirement of the TPO is that the reporting should be done by a third-party audits. So the organization needs to find an auditor who's third-party. The organization cannot report by itself, but that report then needs to go into their annual reports. Beyond that, we are also expecting that consumers are also going to engage the producer, the fast food restaurant, because when the fast food restaurant is engaged by the buying power of the consumer, they are forced to do the right thing, which then drives the process down the supply chain. And part of the requirements that we are hoping that the fast food restaurants are going to do is then to develop supply chain policies that drive animal welfare or mainstreams animal welfare as part of the requirements of their supply chain. Thank you very much. Yeah, so in terms of relationship, animal welfare is important and critical for the productivity of the animal. It's also important and critical because it determines the quality of product that comes from the animal. If the animal is mishandled, the quality of the product tends to deteriorate. And that then means that certain aspects around food safety are also compromised. And ultimately that means that the producer or the farmer will not be making money as much or will not be getting returns at the level that they should have gotten. So essentially we are saying that it is important to look at the welfare of the animal because it then drives the productivity, that is the amount of production, and it also drives quality of the product, which then fetches the farmer better price and ultimately gives him better money as returns. But for consumers, it's also important because it is related to food safety. If the welfare of the animal is compromised, then you have poor welfare, poor quality products, which then have a negative impact on food safety. Thank you.